Obviously targeting churches at the time of worship on Easter Sunday, and you just mentioned the hotels. One of them is a luxury, really luxury hotel, the Cinnamon Grand, and the AFP, the French press, is quoting the manager of that hotel, saying a man registered the night before, said he was on business, identified himself as Mohammed Aziz Mohammed, that Mr. Mohammed was standing with the plate during the breakfast line. I mean, imagine how cruel and heartless and barbaric this is, standing with the plate, pretending he was getting breakfast with everybody else when he blew himself up and killed scores of people in that hotel. I mean, where does this barbarism come from, and how can a civilized world stop it?
Well, these are vitally important questions, and as the Archbishop of Colombo mentioned this morning, that these terrorists had behaved really like animals. And we are dealing really with a vicious Islamist ideology that has to be confronted and emphatically defeated. And if indeed ISIS is behind these attacks, I think that ISIS is trying to send a message that even though they have lost their caliphate in Syria and Iraq, they still remain a deadly threat across Asia, the Middle East, parts of Africa as well, and also in Europe as well. And we've seen a large number of Islamist terrorist operations on European soil in recent years. And so I think this is certainly a message that is being sent by either ISIS or potentially Al-Qaeda as well, that they are still in business. And there needs to be a very strong response here. Over 30 nationalities have been targeted actually in this attack, including the loss of several Americans, several British citizens. There has to be a very strong response from the United States and Great Britain and the free world against these terrorists.
Specifically, what do you think we should do?
Well, I think the reality is that we have to target ISIS cells, Al-Qaeda operations across the world, and this involves a coordinated response with our allies across the world. But we do have to use, undoubtedly, military force wherever needed against these terrorist networks. There has to be real payback here for the terrorists. We have to crush these networks. We have to ensure that there is no safe haven anywhere on earth for ISIS and other Islamist terrorist organizations.
And do you believe, Nile, that we are in a place in this world where there is indeed a sufficient global effort and response that is coordinated and specific to fight this, or that's just not there?
Well, I think that there is a willingness on the part of some countries, and I think that the United States, of course, has to lead the response here against Islamist terrorism, and the United States has led the response for the last few decades. And without a doubt, it's U.S. leadership that emphatically crushed ISIS in Iraq and Syria, and we are going to see continuing U.S. leadership to, frankly, wipe ISIS off the face of the earth, really. And this kind of savagery targeted against Christians here, this monstrous evil has to be defeated, and we do have to see a very, very robust response to what has happened here.
Nile Gardiner of the Heritage Foundation. Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. This type of radical philosophy is spread across the globe and is a great threat to the civilized world. Nile, thank you.
Thank you very much.